and South Florida solve these problems. This is a law firm you can trust, and they actually pick up the phone. They have a 30-year track record of positive results, and they make legal costs manageable for people from all walks of life. Make the call, 1-800-992-1277, or visit them on the web at elkinsandfreedman.com. When you visit, you might even meet Tiffany, the office mascot. Elkins and Freedman take the intimidation and worry out of getting the legal help you really need. Call today, 1-800-992-1277, and begin to make sense of your life. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Know Nothing Show with Allan Elkins and Rich Freedman, who have been in the legal profession for over 30 years, and now want to share their experience and knowledge with you, the public. Hey, maybe they do know a little something. Join Allan and Rich by calling in at 888-565-1470 or watching them on elkinsandfreedman.com on Monday nights. And now, here's Allan Elkins and Rich Freedman.
Good evening. It's July 15th. It's Monday evening, and we're here for another Allan and Rich show. And we got a special guest tonight that's going to be talking about her occupation, which is a life transition coach. I'm not sure what a life transition coach is, but we're going to soon find out. You may wonder why my law partner, Elkins, is not here this evening. Well, he's over on the other side of the world in a place called Nice, France, on vacation. I think with his wife, but I'm not sure, but I think it's with his wife. And actually, he may even be online right now wanting to say hello. Allan, are you there?
I am online, Mr. Freedman, and of course I'm with my wife. What the hell's the matter with you?
You know, I can't resist giving you a little dig every chance I get, you know?
Thank you. Now,
you're welcome. So tell me, how is it over there in Nice? Is Nice nice?
It's quite beautiful. I've been all over the south of France. Today, my lovely wife and I were in Cannes. As you probably know, a month or two ago, that's where all the movie stars go to premiere their films. They pull up in their big yachts. And in fact, this time of year, there are just a ton of not just, I guess the proper term is mega yacht, because they're absolutely beautiful. So we walked around today. In fact, I consider myself officially French-Italian. You know why that is, Richard?
Why is that, Allan?
I bought myself a pair of red shorts.
Red shorts. I'd love to see a picture of those.
I wish. If we had the capability, if we weren't in the Stone Age, you would be looking at me right now, and you would see me in my red shorts.
Red shorts. Are they like tight red shorts or long red shorts?
The style now is definitely seems to be a little thinner in the thigh, and they're probably just a little shorter than the knee length. I noticed all these men wearing these red pants, and I wondered, once I come back to Boca, will I be an outcast or will I be ahead of my time? So I've decided to throw caution to the wind, my friend, and I will be ahead of the time.
Well, that's great. I mean, in Boca, I think you'll fit right in eventually. Just take a few days, and you'll be leading a fashion trend in Boca Raton.
Now, I can tell you about the exploits. One thing on a serious note, it's kind of interesting. Yesterday, some people know it was Bastille Day, and that's kind of like our 4th of July, and it culminated in a giant fireworks display off of the coastline. I think it's called the Promenade.
Okay.
And they have soldiers marching down. They have all kinds of festivities and things going on. It's quite a sight to see. In fact, I think I sent you a picture. You saw the fireworks that go off. So that was quite an event. And what Bastille Day is, I guess France had been dominated by a king who was very mean to most of the people, and what they did, the Bastille was a prison. And I understand that although there were only 7 people at the time in the Bastille, they overthrew the Bastille, and that was kind of like them getting rid of the monarchy and then going to a freer France. So
well, that's when they decapitated Marie Antoinette.
Well, it did, and if anybody saw the movie that was out, Les Mis, that's just what it is at the beginning of the French Revolution. So that was yesterday, and that's a big deal to these guys. The other thing, before I get off the phone and get my beauty sleep, I always like to do.
You better sleep for a long time.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. I have lawyers behaving badly. I actually found one, which I'll just hold over till next week. But I was reading the paper. I found an article here, which was just too good not to at least share with the audience. And here's the title of the article: "Man in bed killed by falling cow."
Man in bed killed by falling cow?
Falling cow. Yes, it says the beast plunged through the ceiling on Mr. D'Souza after clambering. I think it slipped off the top of a hill and onto his home. It says the home had a corrugated roof which immediately gave way and fell to the side of his bed. And poor Mr. D'Souza didn't know what hit him. He died on his way to the hospital. And they give this touching little quote from his mother. It says his mom said, quote, "I didn't bring my son up to be killed by a falling cow." It said he nearly died when he was 2 and got meningitis. And it says, "But I worked hard to buy medicines for him and he survived. And now he's lying in bed and gets crushed to death by a cow. There is no justice in this world." So that was...
but let me ask you, where did this happen?
This happened, actually, I'd love to say it happened in one of the homes next door, but apparently this was in Brazil. And the police chief says that there would be a formal hearing given to Mr. D'Souza's family. And it says he also added that police officers are in the process of trying to identify the owners of the cow. So I assume that if they can find the owners of the cow, they will be brought to justice.
That's very good. I'm glad that will happen and justice will prevail in that particular case.
That's right. So now that I've entertained the audience for a few minutes, I must say au revoir.
Au revoir. Geez, you learned the language pretty good.
Au revoir. That's right. And I learned how to say bonjour, buongiorno, no, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, yeah, my wife's young. What's interesting? One of the reasons I really like Nice is because it's kind of a cross between Italian and French, being on the border. So you have a lot of Italian influence, which is kind of a neat thing. So I'm hopeful, Rich, we're going to get that big case, that very big case, and that with my share, I will buy an apartment in the south of France, never to be seen again.
Wow. I'm just curious, before you go, in France, are they talking about the baby to be born to, what is it, Prince Charles, I think, Charles's wife? Or not wife?
No.
It's not Prince Charles, is it?
Prince William.
Prince William. Are they talking about that in France?
No, actually, I don't think they give two shits, my friend. They say in France.
About the English.
Yeah, I'll pretend I didn't hear those last couple words you said. But remember, it's a family show, so be careful.
I'm sure our Cracker Jack editor will just take that right out if it's offensive. But,
I know.
But I'll be back next week to entertain. Hopefully our guest, our life coach guest, will do a good job and get you a life.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping so. I'm anxious to interview her and find out exactly what she does and how she helps people and how long she's been doing it and get all the other good details. So, Allan, I'll let you go. Get some sleep. I know. What time is it there? After 12?
Yeah, it's after midnight.
After midnight.
So I wish you a farewell, and tomorrow it is on to Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo. Don't lose too much money in the casino over there.
I will do my best.
All right.
Good evening,
Take care.
everybody.
Thanks for calling, and we'll see you next week back on the show.
All right. Bye.
All right. Very good. So, I think before we bring on Liz Becker to tell us about what she does, I think we're going to take a little break, have a commercial, and be right back. So no one leave. Everyone stay tuned, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
Life is so overwhelming right now. the emotional and financial challenges are too much. More debt than you can possibly handle? Facing divorce or other family law problems? Injured and don't know where to turn? Where can I get solid, affordable legal guidance? At Elkins and Freedman, an experienced lawyer will explain options and treat you with humanity. They help people throughout Central and South Florida solve these problems. This is a law firm you can trust, and they actually pick up the phone. They have a 30-year track record of positive results, and they make legal costs manageable for people from all walks of life. Make the call, 1-800-992-1277, or visit them on the web at elkinsandfreedman.com. When you visit, you might even meet Tiffany, the office mascot. Elkins and Freedman take the intimidation and worry out of getting the legal help you really need. Call today, 1-800-992-1277, and begin to make sense of your life.
I don't know.
That.
No, I'll interview her. I think she'll...
Well, I can ask if you wish.
Yeah, no. All right, we're back, and we just had a few moments with my law partner, Allan Elkins, who described to us his vacation in the south of France. And again, he'll be back next week to join me on our show next Monday. But right now we have Liz Becker here, who I've mentioned to you before is a life transition coach here in Aventura, Florida. So Liz, tell us exactly what a life transition coach is and what a life transition coach does.
Loved one, career change, any change that they have in their life that they're having difficulty coping with.
Right.
Now, I specialize in divorce. I went through it 6 years ago. I am the single mother of an 8-year-old son.
Okay.
So to me, it's something very personal. And to be able to help someone that's going through either stage, whether it's the contemplating stage, whether it's actually they already started the divorce process or post-divorce, and help them learn how to cope with it in the best way possible for the sake of their children, it's just great reward for me, and that's what I do.
How do you find your clients, or how do they find you?
I've been very blessed by word of mouth. I do work with different lawyers, different mediators, not work with them, but they know of my services, I know of their experience and their work ethic, and definitely have been sort of known in the community that I'm in for what I do, and based on testimonials and word of mouth, like I said, people referring other people, because I really try to do it in a very fast way. It's not therapy, it's not something that's long and drawn out. It's a few sessions. Most of my clients come to me for a month, 2 months, and they see their change and they move forward and they learn the skills that they need.
So is the biggest part divorce cases, or it's people that's lost a loved one that needs your help?
Yeah, it's all around in transitions. I mean, I even help children that are failing school. Basically, what I use, I'm an NLP practitioner, which is neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
And it's pretty much it's like the cross between psychology and engineering. It's a cognitive behavioral science that really teaches you the framework of the thought process. To be able to get hold of that little gap between thinking and doing, and being able to have more control of your emotional states, being able to express yourself clearer. And usually that's what's needed in times of transition, those skills to be able to follow through and not be stuck in a situation where you're not benefit to yourself, nor your children, nor your work, nor anybody around you. So that's the basis of my coaching. And
But are you you're coaching? Are you coaching, like in a divorce case, you're coaching the mother and the father, the husband and the wife, or just one?
Sometimes it's just one. I have helped couples prepare for mediation in many cases where I'm dealing with both couples so that they can each, on their own, first I deal with them separately. So they each learn proper communication skills, which is really imperative when you're going into the mediation process. By having that ability prior to entering it, it's a whole different world of negotiations. And having those skills, so then once we work together separately, then I'm able to work with them together, and then they go into mediation.
Do you go with them to the mediation? Are
No,
you
I
there in the
don't.
mediation room? No?
No, I'm not part of that process. That's up to the mediator to be able to take at that point. But from my track record, in many instances, it has been a much quicker process, which is, I know you don't like probably to hear it, but it saves a lot of money.
And it's fine, because I always tell my clients, I want to do a good job for you. I want to do it as inexpensive as possible. That way you get through this and you feel good about it. And also, when I get done with that case quicker, I can handle other cases.
Exactly.
So money-wise, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
So my feeling is for people to spend as little as possible money-wise, get through the process, be satisfied, and be able to live with the result, and so they can move on with their life as quick as possible.
Absolutely. I always tell my clients, and I tell this to lawyers that I work with too.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with all different kinds, from mediators to collaborative attorneys to regular attorneys. I mean, all different areas. And ultimately, when someone goes into divorce and you have children, whatever money you are spending for the divorce, you are spending your children's money. It's not your money to spend. You are spending your children's money. Exactly. And it's a matter of setting your pride aside. And I did a whole seminar and lecture at the Divorce Expo about this, and separating pride from the process. To be able to come to an understanding, everybody's going to have to sacrifice at a certain point. There's no divorce case that I've ever seen that neither one of the people felt like they sacrificed a bit somehow, in certain areas. One felt more than the other, but that's life. And it's a matter of learning how to cope with it, and what really do you need most minimal possible to be able to have this divorce affect your children the least amount possible, so that you can move on with your life. I mean, I did my divorce in 3 weeks without an attorney.
I know. I can imagine it's so difficult for the parents, because I don't normally see the children. Once in a while, a client will bring in a child, the children with them, but most of the time I don't see the children. But I can see what my client is going through, so I can just imagine how difficult it is for the children.
Sure.
They have a mother and father, they love them both, they want to be with both. And they just don't know how to handle it.
And I think that's a really interesting point. I wonder how different it would be with attorneys if they would actually see the children as well. Because, out of sight, out of mind, and I know that attorneys focus a lot on the case itself and what's best for their client, rightfully so. But I'm wondering how that would change sort of their emotional state or their intent or the whole process of the choices made or the recommendations made for the process, if they actually see the children in front of them, see how the children are being affected.
Because sometimes I ask my client, I say, it's up to you if you want to do it or not, but maybe one of these times when you come in to visit me, if you can, and I say, it's up to you, but how about bringing your children? Because I hear their names all the time, and you're telling me stories and what's happening with their father or with their mother, or whatever it is. So I wouldn't mind meeting them just for a moment. I'm not going to discuss the case with them, but I just like to meet them so I can put a face behind the name.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think that's really great. Because I'm sure you as a professional, if you see the process going somewhere and you see the children in front of you suffering, or you see that, maybe that would change your recommendation or change something about your response or reaction to it.
And sometimes what I'll say to them, if you can't bring your child in because, it's just not convenient, or, if there's time problems, I said, how about showing me a picture? So they'll take out their wallet and they'll show me, here's my 2 daughters, or here's my son. And so now, I could see a little bit what they're like.
Of course.
So that makes a big difference. Sometimes what I'll do when I go to court, I'll actually ask the client to bring me a photograph, maybe about 8 by 12 or whatever, 5 by 7, some type of picture of their children, so I can actually show it to the judge.
Sure.
And that way the judge puts a face behind the names. Because the judge is making a decision that's going to affect these children. So at least the judge can take a look at their picture, so the judge knows what these children look like, and then has a better idea what the impact might be on these children when she makes or he makes the ruling on the case. So tell me more. How do you deal with cases where someone's lost a loved one? How do you handle that?
Sure. Again, with losing a loved one, it's again a matter of coping. It's semantics. So when you say you lost a loved one, people really make that finite, like they're gone. They lost them, they're gone, they're never going to see them again or be with them. And yes, physically they're gone, but there's so many other aspects to a person dying that is not to be viewed as a loss, to be viewed as what you've gained from that person being around for so many years. And realistically, we don't lose people that die. They're in our hearts, they're in our souls, they're in our beliefs, our parents, our grandparents. We run our lives daily with beliefs that were instilled from being raised by these people. I recently lost my father in November. I lost my brother last year. So I've been through a lot in the past 2.5 years. And people always say to me, well, how do you do it? How do you do it with a smile on your face? Is because I really am cognizant of choosing to see the positive in everything, because there is positive in everything, no matter what. You know, my father, in many cases, when let's say you have someone that's been sick for a while,
Right.
and the person's struggling with their loved one in the hospital and sick, what's the first thing that you say when the person passes on? Say, well, at least they're not suffering anymore.
Right.
You know, we do that on a natural level to try to find that positive, whatever it is. So it is possible. And it's a big part that what I've seen with my clients, more than the loss, it's the changing their schedule, getting used to their daily schedules, their daily rituals without this person around. Whether it's someone that had been married for 40 years, whether it's someone that, you know, lost a child, your daily ritual is going to go based on this person. So it's changing your plans for the day. It's changing how you do things, because it's not going to be the same. And that's when you're going to feel the loss even more. If you try to do things the same and that person's not there, it's a much bigger of a struggle than if you start creating new paths, new patterns, new habits, new daily rituals on a fresh start. And listen, everybody needs their time to grieve, so everybody does it differently. But if you want to, if you are cognizant of living a happy life and not wanting to be miserable, because some people actually feel comfortable in the misery and they want to feel depressed and they want to stay in that zone, and that's okay too. It's based on what you want. And then it's based on how your behavior is affecting everybody else around you, because it's about both things. It's not just about ourselves sometimes.
Right.
So I help them with that process. And again, I use various different NLP techniques and tools that help you at an unconscious level as well, not just conscious level, because that's really where the coding needs to change. We have a certain coding that we do things, we get used to doing things, and something happens, and then our coding goes, you know, berserk, even though we knew how to do it before. We've done it before. We've overcome challenges before. So it's really getting back into that, correcting that coding of what works for you, because everybody does it differently. Everybody's individual. It's just like fingerprints. You know, everybody's unique in how they do things.
Wow.
And we all have the resources within us to do it. So it's just accessing it.
What about, is it, I guess it's pretty difficult, like, for example, like a child loses their brother or their sister.
Yes, I actually have not had any clients that were children that lost loved ones. I've dealt with adults that lost loved ones. But of course, it's the same thing. It's, you know, focusing those daily rituals is going to be very difficult to focus on those when that sibling is not there. And a big part of moving forward is to try to do different things in keeping memory of that person and learning what you've learned and keeping them alive in your mind, in your soul, in your heart, in your legacies. You know, what would you want this person to have left behind? What did you learn from them? I mean, my father was a Holocaust survivor, and that was a big part of us continuing his legacy on. My son, who's 8 years old, actually gave a eulogy. He stood up all in reference to what he's learned and what kind of man he wants to be because of his grandfather, and that he is alive because of him, you know, and in his struggles in the Holocaust. So it's really all in the matter of how you're going to react to whatever happens in your life, period.
Wow.
Whatever transition,
So we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back to finish up our show for this evening. So don't go away, stay tuned, and come on back in a few minutes.
Life is so overwhelming right now. The emotional and financial challenges are too much. More debt than you can possibly handle, facing divorce or other family law problems, injured and don't know where to turn. Where can I get solid, affordable legal guidance? At Elkins and Freedman, an experienced lawyer will explain options and treat you with humanity. They help people throughout Central and South Florida solve these problems. This is a law firm you can trust, and they actually pick up the phone. They have a 30-year track record of positive results, and they make legal costs manageable for people from all walks of life. Make the call, 1-800-992-1277, or visit them on the web at elkinsandfreedman.com. When you visit, you might even meet Tiffany, the office mascot. Elkins and Freedman take the intimidation and worry out of getting the legal help you really need. Call today, 1-800-992-1277, and begin to make sense of your life.
All right, we're back. Again, I'm Richard Freedman from Elkins and Freedman, attorneys. And I know earlier in the show, hopefully everybody listened, we talked with my partner, Allan Elkins, in Nice, France, and he told us a little bit about his vacation. But back here, we've been talking with Liz Becker, who's a life transition coach, and I want to finish up the show by just asking her a couple more questions.
Sure.
So, Liz, tell me about helping people after a divorce, because sometimes that's very difficult for a lot of people. They've been married so long, and they've had a partner so long, 10, 15, 20 years longer. How do you help them get on with the next part of their life?
Right. Well, there's definitely different areas and different stages of divorce, and a lot of times you'll find that because the whole divorce process was a little bit straining and very difficult for them, that finally when they get to the point where they can start their new life, they're stuck. Either they're going to jump into it and be happy about it and see the opportunity, or they're going to start dealing with things that they didn't even think about while they were going through the process. I personally love helping people with co-parenting issues, because that I find is the biggest struggle of starting a new life.
That's true. I'm sorry to interrupt, but when people call me up after their divorce, that's the number one problem. It's not the money so much.
Right.
You know, he might be late on the child support or the alimony payment, but they're not really complaining about that. They're really complaining about the co-parenting.
Absolutely.
You know, they can't agree on this, they can't agree on that.
Yeah.
That's the number one complaint.
Sure, because I think one of the biggest struggles for a parent from marriage to single parenthood is when you don't have your child. What's going on now? Your children are not under your control. You don't know what they're doing at the other parent's home, and then you have this power play, and then you have this interrogation, and then you're trying to find out, and you're trying to take control over something that you no longer have control over. And that's what I always teach them. Focus on the time that you have with your children. That's where you do have the control, not when they're not with you.
Okay, we still have another minute or so, or we're almost done? Liz, real quick, just give everyone your phone number.
Liz Becker, 305-503-7897, Life After Split Coaching, and it's lifeaftersplitcoaching.com, or you can also find me at enhancednlp.com.
All right, very good. So I guess we're up for today. Glad everyone had a chance to join us. It was a little bit different show today without Allan. Hopefully most people think it's for the better. But again, I'm Richard Freedman from the law firm of Elkins and Freedman. I think everyone has our website, so everybody have a good night. We'll see you next Monday at 6 o'clock right here. Take care now. See you then.
You have been listening to the Elkins and Freedman Know Nothing Show, where maybe you learned a little something today. To reach their offices, call 954-772-6014 or toll free 1-800-992-1277. Tune in again next time for more Elkins and Freedman. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored